My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the handle of the knife that had slipped from my fingers. Blood was everywhere, on the floor, on the counter, on my thighs. I remember thinking, this is what hell must feel like. Cold. Silent. Wet. And yet, what terrified me the most was not the body. It was the fact that it was not Aiden. I fell to my knees and crawled across the floor toward the face. I needed to see it again. To be sure. It was a man I had never seen before. He was taller than Aiden, bulkier, rough beard. But the hoodie he wore, it looked familiar. Aiden had one just like it. That is why I kissed him in the dark. That is why I let him grab me from behind and pin me to the counter just minutes before, because I thought it was him. But it was not. And Aiden was gone. I screamed his name into the night. No answer. My phone had no service. The storm had taken down the satellite connection. I was stuck, alone in a blood-soaked mountain cabin with a dead man I had just murdered and a lover who had vanished without a trace. My first thought was to call Ben. But how could I? He thought I was at a friend's cabin for a girls' reset weekend. If I called him, it would all come out, the lies, the affair, the murder. So I did the only thing I could do. I cleaned. I wrapped the body in a tarp I found in the shed. It was heavy. Too heavy for me alone. I dragged it through the back door, struggling against the muddy slope until I found a spot beneath a tree near the lake. I dug with a gardening spade. My hands bled. My nails cracked. I cried the whole time. By the time the body was covered, the sun had started to rise. I burned the bloody sheets and wiped every surface clean with bleach and vodka. I packed my lace lingerie, wiped my skin raw in the shower, and threw away every trace of the night. I did not sleep. I could not. And Aiden still had not come back. I drove back into the city like a ghost. My eyes were red. My lip was swollen. My soul had splintered into something unrecognizable. Ben was sitting on the porch when I arrived. He smiled. A calm, robotic smile. "You are back early," he said. I nodded. "Just needed to come home," I whispered. He kissed my cheek. He smelled like soap and shaving cream. Normal. Safe. Boring. Inside, the house looked exactly the same. I felt like a stranger in a movie set version of my life. I cooked dinner. I kissed him goodnight. I stared at the ceiling until 3 a.m. That was when I received the first message. It was a photo. No words. Just an image. The cabin. The outside. The night. And in the center of the photo, me. Covered in blood. Holding the knife. I dropped my phone. My heart stopped. I ran to the bathroom and threw up until I could taste stomach acid. Someone had been watching. Someone knew what I had done. Every time Ben touched me, I flinched. Every time my phone buzzed, I screamed. I started locking every door and window. I slept with a flashlight under my pillow. I stopped going to the gym. I never heard from Aiden. He never called. Never texted. He vanished like smoke. My friends noticed I had changed. "You look tired," one of them said. "I am fine," I lied. But I was far from fine. I was drowning in guilt and terror and this sick, twisted emptiness that only comes after you have killed a man and still do not know why. It came 4 nights later. This time, there were words. "I saw what you did. I know who you are." No name. No number. Just fear, digital, silent, suffocating. I woke up to the sound of breathing. Not mine. Not Ben's. Outside. The window. I stood up slowly. Walked to the curtain. Pulled it back. No one. But drawn on the foggy glass. A smiley face. Someone had been there. Watching. Smiling. 2 weeks passed. No more messages. But the paranoia never stopped. Until the twist. Ben sat me down in the kitchen one evening. Calmly. Like it was just another conversation. He looked me in the eye and said, "I know about Aiden." My heart froze. He slid a file across the table. Inside were photos, me and Aiden kissing behind the gym. In the hotel parking lot. Holding hands. "I had someone follow you months ago," he said. "I just wanted to be sure before I made my move." "Your move?" I asked, barely able to breathe. He leaned forward, smiled again, and said, "You think you killed a stranger?" He paused, shook his head. You were not supposed to. The kitchen light flickered above us as Ben leaned back in his chair, hands folded like a pastor about to deliver a sermon. His eyes studied me not with love, not even with hate, but with cold calculation. You were not supposed to kill him, he repeated. I could not speak. My throat had dried up. My fingers dug into the wood of the chair. My heart pounded like it wanted to leap out of my chest and run far away from the man I thought I knew. He slid a name across the table like it was a casual piece of trivia. His name was Trevor, Ben said. Aiden's cousin. Ben began to speak, and I listened like a captive in my own life story. He told me he had suspected the affair for months. He had installed a tracking app on my car, checked my messages, watched my bank statements. But instead of confronting me, he hired someone to dig deeper. That someone was Trevor, a man Aiden trusted, a former private investigator turned problem solver. Trevor was sent to gain access, to get close, to learn if Aiden had been using me for more than sex. Ben thought it was bigger. He thought it was a scheme. Aiden, he claimed, had a pattern: older women, married, wealthy. Ben believed I was being used. And then Ben smiled again, the kind of smile you never forget once you see it. I told Trevor to go up there, he said. To scare you. Not to die. I felt the floor drop beneath me. I stood, pacing. My voice finally returned, hoarse and angry. So you sent a man into a dark cabin, knowing I was there, while I was naked, and you thought scaring me was a good idea? Ben raised his brows. I did not know you were going to bring a knife to the party. He chuckled. I wanted to throw something at his face, but all I could do was scream. Where is Aiden? Ben's smile vanished. That is the thing. I do not know. That night, I barely slept. I went through every moment of that stormy night in my head, trying to trace the movement of shadows, trying to remember every sound. The next morning, I received another message. Meet me. Alone. You owe me that much. It was from Aiden. He was alive. He sent an address, an old motel in a dying town about 40 minutes outside the city. I did not tell Ben. I packed a jacket, slipped my knife into my boot, and drove into the dark. The sign flickered above the office. Room 8. I knocked. The door opened just enough for Aiden to pull me inside. He looked different. Thinner. Eyes bloodshot. A scar above his right brow. I thought you were dead, I whispered. And I thought you were smarter than this, he snapped. He poured a drink. Sat on the bed. Spoke without looking at me. You killed Trevor. I saw it. I watched from the trees. I was coming back from the woods when I heard you scream. Why did you not stop it? I cried. Because I did not know who was attacking who. And by the time I got close enough, he was already on the ground. Aiden admitted it. Yes, he had a thing for married women. Yes, he had done this before. But with me, he said it was different. I fell for you. But you were never safe. Ben was watching. Every move we made was part of his game. I tried to warn you. I stared at him. My lip trembled. Then why disappear? He looked up, his face twisted in regret. Because I knew if I came back, Ben would finish what he started. That was when I knew what had to be done. I went home. I waited until Ben was asleep. I turned on the voice recorder on my phone and placed it on the dresser. And then I sat beside him. You had Trevor follow me. You knew he was going to the cabin. You said it yourself, he was not supposed to die. Ben rolled over and opened his eyes. You killed a man, Rachel. Not me. You cannot pin this on me. I will if you do not tell the truth. On the record. Right now. He laughed. He always laughed. Go ahead. No jury will believe you over me. You are the one who ran off to have motel sex with a gym rat. Because I had the photos. I had the file he gave me. I had his voice. The next day, I turned it all over to the police. It turned out, Ben had ties to more than just Trevor. His company was laundering money. Trevor was part of it. The cabin surveillance had been part of a blackmail scheme. They used women like me as bait. I had just been another pawn. Until I spilled blood. That changed everything. Ben was arrested within 2 weeks. Aiden disappeared again. I was questioned, of course. I told the truth. All of it. About the affair. About the knife. About the fear. And the state believed me. Trevor's death was ruled self-defense. But freedom came at a price. I live alone now. I moved to Oregon. I teach yoga. I paint. I sleep with the lights on. Sometimes I think I see Aiden in passing cars. Sometimes I dream of Ben's voice whispering from under the bed. And sometimes I catch myself smiling at shadows. Because the darkness inside me never left. I tell myself it was self-defense. But in the dark, you never really know who the monster is.